How a tattoo helped catch a cold case murderer. One small tattoo solved a murder that went cold for nearly 20 years. The victim was found with no ID, no belongings, and no clues except for a single tattoo on her ankle. It was a simple heart with a name written inside. Detectives photographed it, logged it, and held on to it as evidence, even when the case went cold. Years passed, leads dried up. The case seemed hopeless, but the tattoo kept bothering investigators because it looked personal, almost handmade, like it had a story behind it. The lines were uneven. The shading was rough. It looked like someone without much experience had done it. That meant it wasn't from a fancy studio, but probably from a small local shop or an underground artist. Detectives wondered if the tattoo might be the only connection the victim still had to her past. But they had no name and no idea where she came from. The file was eventually boxed up and shelved, fading deeper into storage as newer cases piled up. Then everything changed when a new detective joined the department. Fresh eyes on an old mystery. He pulled out the file, studied the photos, and the tattoo immediately caught his attention. He thought it looked like the kind of design created in tight-knit neighborhood shops running on word of mouth. That gave him an idea. He started visiting tattoo parlors across the city, showing the photo to artists who'd been around for decades. Most shook their heads. Some squinted and hesitated, but none recognized it. The trail seemed cold again until one artist paused. He leaned in, studying the photo with a look the detective hadn't seen yet. Then he said something that changed everything. He didn't just recognize the tattoo. He remembered the exact person who got it. He described a young woman who walked into his shop nearly 20 years earlier. She was quiet, nervous, and hesitant. She didn't seem excited about getting a tattoo. She seemed pressured. The artist recalled that she asked for the simple heart design with a man's name inside it. But what he remembered most wasn't her. It was the man who came in with her. He hovered over her shoulder. He answered questions for her. He insisted the name inside the heart be large, bold, and unmistakable. The artist remembered thinking something felt off. But back then, he had no idea how serious it was. The detective asked the artist if he still had any records from that far back. Most shops would have tossed old papers years ago, but this artist was different. He kept everything. Boxers of old appointment books, sketches, and notes stacked in the back of his studio. He disappeared into a storage room and came back with a thick, dust-covered notebook. He flipped through the pages slowly, one after another, then he stopped. There it was. A rough sketch of the same heart tattoo the victim had on her ankle. The date matched the approximate time of the victim's death. And next to the sketch were two names. One was the woman's, the other belonged to the man who had brought her in. The detective now had something he never expected to find in a cold case: a witness, a record, and a name. When investigators looked into the man, everything got darker. He had a long history of violence. Police reports showed assaults, threats, and incidents involving partners who had once tried to leave him. He had moved between states, changed addresses often, and lived a life full of red flags no one had tied together before. Detectives brought him in for questioning. At first, he denied everything. He said he didn't know the victim. He said he'd never seen her tattoo. But when confronted with the old appointment book, his expression changed. He stumbled over details. His story shifted. He claimed he couldn't remember. He claimed the artist was lying. But then investigators revealed the evidence he never saw coming. Decades earlier, forensic teams had collected fibers, biological traces, and small pieces of evidence from the victim's clothing. Back then, technology wasn't advanced enough to pull a full DNA profile, but now it was. Modern DNA testing matched the biological evidence directly to him. There was no mistake. The tattoo, the sketch, and the DNA all pointed to the same man. The case that had been frozen in time suddenly cracked wide open. After nearly 20 years, detectives finally had the truth. The man was arrested and charged with murder. In court, the evidence told the story he tried to bury. The tats of the victim never truly wanted. The sketch preserved for decades. And the DNA that waited 20 years to speak. He was convicted, and the woman who had no name, no belongings, and no voice finally had justice. A cold case solved by the smallest detail. A single tattoo the killer never thought anyone would trace. Leave a comment below. Share, like, follow, and subscribe for more.